नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तम श्लोके
भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, Guruji.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, verse 5. Yaya sammohito jiva
यया सम्मोहितो जीवा
atmanam trigunaatmakam
त्रिगुणात्मकम्
paropi manute nartam tatkritam chavipadyate. Yaya sammohito jiva
यया सम्मोहितो जीवा
atmanam trigunaatmakam
आत्मानगुणात्मकम्
paropi manute nartam
करोऽपि मनुतेनर्थम्
tatkritam chavipadyate.
तत्कृतं चाभिपद्यते.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Canto 1, Chapter 7, verse 5. Yaya sammohito jiva
यया सम्मोहितो जीवा
atmanam trigunaatmakam
आत्मानं त्रिगुणात्मकम्
paropi manute nartam tatkritam chavipadyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Charnar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms: Yaya, by whom?
यया by whom
Sammohita, illusioned.
सम्मोहिता illusion.
Jiva, the living entities.
Jiva the living entities.
Atmanam, self.
Atmanam self.
Trigunatmakam, conditioned by the three modes of nature or a product of matter.
Trigunatmakam, conditioned by the three modes of nature or a product of matter.
Para, transcendental.
Para, transcendental.
Api, in spite of.
Api, in spite of.
Manute, takes it for granted.
Manute takes it for granted.
Anartham, things not wanted.
Anartham, not wanted.
Tat, by that.
Tat, by that.
Kritam cha, reaction.
reaction.
Abhipadyate, undergoes thereof.
Undergoes thereof.
Translation, please repeat after me. Due to this external energy,
the
living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature,
the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature,
thinks of himself as a material product,
thinks of himself as a material product,
and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries.
And thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries.
Purport.
The root cause of suffering by the materialistic living beings is pointed out with remedial measures which are to be undertaken and also the ultimate perfection to be. All this is mentioned in this particular verse. The living being is by constitution transcendental to material engagement, but he is now imprisoned by the external energy, and therefore he thinks himself one of the material products. And due to this unholy contact, the pure spiritual entity suffers material miseries under the modes of material nature. The living entity misunderstands himself to be a material product. This means that the present perverted way of thinking, feeling, feeling and willing under material conditions is not natural for him, but he has his normal way of thinking, feeling, and willing. The living being in his original state is not without thinking, willing, and feeling power. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the actual knowledge of the conditioned soul is now covered by nescience. Thus, the theory that a living being is absolute impersonal Brahman is refuted herein. This cannot be because the living entity has its own way of thinking in its original unconditional state also. The present conditional state is due to the influence of the external energy, which means that the illusory energy takes the initiative while the Supreme Lord is aloof. The Lord does not desire that a living being be illusioned by external energy. The external energy is aware of this fact, but still she accepts a thankless task of keeping the forgotten soul under illusion by her bewildering influence. The Lord does not interfere with the task of the illusory energy, because such performances of the illusory energy are also necessary for reformation of the conditioned soul. An affectionate father does not like his children to be chastised by another agent, yet he puts his disobedient children under the custody of a severe man just to bring them to order. But the all-affectionate Almighty Father at the same time desires release for the conditioned soul, release from the clutches of the illusory energy. The king puts the disobedient citizens within the walls of the jail, but sometimes the king, desiring the prisoners' release, personally goes there and pleads for reformation, and on his doing so the prisoners are set free. Similarly, the Supreme Lord descends from his kingdom upon the kingdom of the illusory energy and personally gives relief in the form of the Bhagavad Gita. Wherein he personally suggests that although the waves of the illusory energy are very swift to overcome, one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord is set free by the order of the Supreme. The surrendering process is the remedial measure for getting relief from the bewildering waves of the illusory energy. The surrendering process is completed by the influence of association. The Lord has suggested, therefore, that by the influence of the species of saintly persons who have actually realized the supreme, conditioned souls are engaged in his transcendental loving service. They get a taste for hearing about the Lord, and by such hearing only are they gradually elevated to the platform of respect, devotion, and attachment for the Lord. The whole thing is completed by the surrendering process. Herein, also the same suggestion is made by the Lord in his incarnation of Vyasadeva. This means that the conditioned souls are being reclaimed by the Lord both ways, namely by the process of punishment by the external energy of the Lord and by himself as the spiritual master, within and without. Within the heart of every living being, the Lord himself as the super soul, Paramatma, becomes the spiritual master, and from without, he becomes the spiritual master in the shape of scriptures, saints, and the initiated spiritual master. This is still more explicitly explained in the next sloka. Personal superintendence of the illusory energy is confirmed in the Vedas, the Kena Upanishad. In relation to the demigods controlling power, herein also it is clearly stated that the living entity is controlled by the external energy in a personal capacity. The living being thus subject to the control of the external energy is differently situated. It is clear, however, from the present statement of the Bhagavatam that the same external energy is situated in the inferior position before the personality of Godhead, or the perfect being. The perfect being, or the Lord, cannot be approached even by the illusory energy, who can work on the living entity. Therefore, it is sheer imagination that the Supreme Lord is illusioned by the illusory energy and thus becomes a living being. if the living being and the Lord were in the same category, then it would have been quite possible for Vyasadeva to see it, and there would have been no question of material distress on the part of the illusion being, for the Supreme Being is fully cognizant. So there are so many unscrupulous imaginations on the part of the monist to endeavor to put both the Lord and the living being in the same category. Had the Lord and the living being been the same, then Srila Sukadeva Goswami would not have taken the trouble to describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, for they would all be manifestations of the illusory energy. Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum, remedy for suffering humanity in the clutches of Maya. Srila Vyasadeva therefore first of all diagnosed the actual disease of the conditioned soul, that is, there being illusion by the external energy. He also saw the perfect Supreme Being, from whom the illusory energy is far removed, though he saw both the diseased conditioned souls and also the cause of the disease, and the remedial measures are suggested in the next verse. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living beings are undoubtedly qualitatively one, but the Lord is the controller of the illusory energy, whereas the living entity is controlled by the illusory energy. So can you please scroll up? Thus the Lord and the living beings are simultaneously one and different. Another point is distinct herein, that eternal relation between the Lord and the living being is transcendental. Otherwise the Lord would not have taken the trouble to reclaim the conditioned souls from the clutches of Maya. In the same way, the living entity is also required to revive his natural love and affection for the Lord, and that is the highest perfection of the living entity. Srimad Bhagavatam treats the conditioned soul with an aim to that goal of life.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमो आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपप्रदायिने गौरकथादामधाय नगरग्रामतारिणे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिहराय नाम कृष्ण यादवाय नाम हरे गोपाल गोविंद राम श्रीमद् मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुलंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्यमीश्वरं हरि ओम तत्सत्. Very beautiful that when the rishis asked what did Vyasadeva do after Sri Narada Muni left. So here Srila Vyasadeva first of all was meditating on the pure, unalloyed, unchecked, unmotivated, uninterrupted, loving devotional service unto Krishna, with which he was able to see everything, so that he will be able to diagnose. So the doctor's job is first to diagnose what is the problem and then gives the remedy. And this is what Vyasadeva did after Narad Muni left. So our present position as being diagnosed by Srila Vyasadeva is like this, that sammohita, yaya sammohito jiva, bewildered. Sammohita means illusion or bewildered. So puzzled by Maya. So we are actually eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But on account of being enchanted by this Trigunatmakam, so because of this particular enchanted by this material energy, or what you call as external energy of Krishna, we have forgotten ourselves, our origin. We are now entangled. We have forgotten our goal of life. So the conditioned soul means the living being, the spirit soul, who is conditioned by these laws of material nature, Trigunatmakam. The laws of material nature is that you have to accept a certain type of body according to your propensity. Put in other words, as a product of matter. This is the influence of the material energy, or the three modes of material nature. That according to this nature, you have to accept yourself as a product of matter, where you are not actually. So, and Krishna is so kind that he gives you a facility, all right. Just like the tiger, it wants to suck the blood. Then he will be given the facility of a tiger's body. If a man wants to suck the blood, he will be given the tiger's body in the next life, so that he can suck the blood. It is very simple. If a person has no discrimination in eating whatever available he can eat, then he will be given the facility to become a pig or hog. Up to stool he can eat, no restriction. So this is the kindness of Krishna that he has arranged to fulfill the desire. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesh arjuna tishtati. So this is very significant, because we are not actually product of matter. What is this body? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling yantra rudani mayaya. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. We are riding on a machine actually. This body is a machine, but we are accepting machine as myself. This is called sammohito. This is sammohito. So, if you are running on a car, if you think I am the car, this is foolishness. It is very common sense only to understand this. Similarly, I have got this yantra, machine, body, and it is running on account of my presence, or I am driving, or Krishna is giving me intelligence how to drive. But if I identify myself with this body, exactly like a foolish man is driving the car, and if he identifies himself with the car, he is a foolish man. So this is called sammohita, yaya sammohito jiva. So when the driver goes away, then we see that the car is not moving. And then I understand, oh, the driver or my father or whomsoever concerned, my son has gone away. We sometimes cry, my father has gone away, my son has gone away. But because we are sammohito, we actually never saw the father and the son. We accepted this coat pant body as father and son. This is called sammohita, or illusioned or bewildered. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam, the spirit soul. Atmanam trigunatmakam. Atmanam trigunatmakam. So, this body is made according to the modes of material nature. Karanam gunasangasya. Everything is very clearly explained in the Bhagavad Gita. If you understand Bhagavad Gita, and if you actually surrender to Krishna, the last word of Krishna is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So if you actually understand Bhagavad Gita, this will be the result. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Tektva Swadharmam Charanambujam Hare Swadharma. Krishna says Swadharma. Swadharman, Sarvadharman Parityacha is Swadharma. So that means every one of us, dharma means occupational duty, that how you are engaging your senses. That is called dharma, characteristic of the soul or chetan. So Krishna is ordering Sarva Dharman Parityacha Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. And if you accept it, even by sentiment, it is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktva Swadharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare Pate Tato Yadi Bhajanna Pakto. Narad Muni is telling, we just saw. If someone, even by sentiment, all right, Krishna says Sarva Dharman Parityacha, let us stop any other business, become Krishna conscious. Even one accept by sentiment, not thoroughly understanding, he is also fortunate here. He is also fortunate because he accepts the real thing. Therefore, Narad Muni is telling, even one accepting by sentiment, and later on, Bhajanna Pakvotha, his execution of devotion service not mature, and he falls down, then Narad Muni says, Yatrakva Vabhadram Abhudamushyakim. Where is the loss for that person anyway? On the other hand, the material person who thinks himself as the product of matter, who has not accepted this Krishna consciousness, but is very regularly executing his responsibility, material responsibility, what does he gain at the last? This is Narad Muni's question to Vyasadeva. So, if Krishna consciousness is accepted even by sentiment, and after that, even if falls down, there is no loss at all. And if we are very faithful to our material duties, then Narad Muni says, what do we gain by that? This is Narad Muni. Wonderful conversation we have been witnessing, and we have been going through that experience of this wonderful stalwart, the personalities, how they are beautifully conversed with each other about us. This is very important thing. We don't gain anything even if we are perfect materially situated without Krishna consciousness. All that you gain is just gain another body. That anyway you gain here. Or you want to be so responsible materially to gain another body. That anyway you are awarded. So, the struggle for existence. There is no guarantee that what body you will get. Of course, the karma determines. But still, you don't have any guarantee that what body you will get next. Don't think that if you continuously perform pious activities, and no sins, you will be getting definitely not an animalistic body. No guarantee. In Bhagavatam, you can see Nirga. King Nirga was such a pious king. He was performing huge amount of pious activities. Never did any fault. But what happened? He was distributing, he was donating cows to the Brahmanas. And when one Brahmana is taking the cows that are donated to him, other Brahmana was coming. But the cow's nature is to return to its shed. So one of the cows from the already donated to Brahmana has automatically walked away and returned to its shed. That is not known to the king. And to other Brahmana, he has donated the same cow along with other cows. Now the old Brahmana came to fight. I want my cow which you have donated to me. No, I will give you whatever you want in replacement. Take me kingdom. No, I want only my cow. And the other Brahmana says, no, you had given it to me already. I cannot give. This is Brahmana's position. They never hanker for others' property, and whatever given to them, it is under their disposal only. What to do? Now, king did not do any mistake, right? And he has done only pious activities. But still, he has got the next body as a giant lizard in the well. whom only Krishna directly came and rescued. Otherwise, no chance. So even if you are performing pious activities, there is no guarantee as to what body you will get next. Karanam guna sangasya. So this is very dangerous position we are in. We are in very dangerous position. So we have to take precaution. If you keep yourself in the sattva gun, the Brahminical qualification, samo damastitiksha arjavam sattvam saucham jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavacham. So there are kshatriya, there are vaishya, there are sudra. These are all for one who thinks themselves as the product of matter. So Narad Muni is giving directly devotional service. The remedy, it is first of all, Vyasadeva is diagnosing as to what's wrong with the people. So he has diagnosed very beautiful. Originally, the living entity is transcendental to the modes of material nature, but he is thinking of himself as product of matter. So he is unnecessarily undergoing the reactions of material miseries, body after body, birth after birth, death after birth in this way. Just see, very, very precarious situation. So this is diagnosing. Srila Vyasadeva has found the root cause of suffering by the materialistic living being. Also, then he found the measure. What is the measure for that? Very beautiful. Because the living being is encaged because of the not three modes of material nature, because he accepts the three modes of material nature and abide by the rules of three modes of material nature. And the three modes of material nature dictates that you think you are this body. You are not the spirit soul. You are not the servant of Krishna. You are the material body so that I can rule you. So it is making you under illusion and making you think and feel and willing. This thinking, feeling, willing is the function of the soul, not the body actually. But because we accepted the three modes of material nature and thinks himself one of the material products, this is an unholy contact. So the pure spiritual entity, the living entity, we, the original transcendental personalities, suffering material miseries under these three modes. Because we misunderstood, misidentified ourselves with matter. This is called perverted. The perverted way of feeling, willing, thinking. The original feeling, willing, thinking is Jiver Surupaya Krishnera Nityadas. The actual knowledge of the conditioned soul is now covered by this material. Nescience, this is called. Nescience. So, Mam hi partha vyapha sritya, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it becomes, once you take the shelter, sincerely take the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master or Krishna through bona fide spiritual master. Either you take shelter of Krishna or you take shelter of Krishna's devotee. Both are same. Okay. But Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam. You can take my shelter through by taking shelter of my pure devotees. So he becomes very purified then once you take shelter. There is no bar for anyone. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same thing is confirmed. So Krishna consciousness is so nice. It is so sweet. It is very original. It is sublime. And it is the normal state of a human being. Now we are in abnormal state. Considering ourselves, this material body is abnormal state. This is not normal state. This is quite abnormal. It is totally perverted, 100% perverted. Not a bit of fact is there, in the sense, completely illusion. The fact is hidden. The spirit soul is covered by the matter. So, if you take to Krishna consciousness as our goal of life, then our life is successful. That is why Vasudev is, diagnosing here. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam. We shall continue the life of changing this body one after the another. That we have to do. You cannot be independent. Prakrite kriyamaneni gunai karmani sarvasha. So if we think that we are independent, that is due to our ignorance only we are thinking. That is also action of the three modes of material nature, not our action. We are not independent actually. We are not independent. He is simply sammohita. He is illusioned. We are bewildered in the material world by false prestige. He is not independent at all. We should always remember this. We are dependent on the laws of nature if we think ourselves the product of matter. We cannot say that now I invented some scientific discovery, we shall not going to die. That is impossible. You must die because you have accepted yourself as what you are not. So how can you remain what you are not eternally? Because you are different. So the death is 100%. You must die. As long as we think ourselves product of matter, we must die. In every birth, we should die. That is law of nature. You must die. You must take birth also. And you must be deceased also. You must suffer from old age also. These are the 4 disadvantages of material existence. And if we want to get out, this is called anartha. So this anartha nivritti marga, after taking the spiritual master, then you can remove the anartha. Anartham, things that is not wanted. You see? So this anartha you have to remove. Also in the next verse we are going to see. What is this anartha? Anartham, the things unwanted, that is explained in the subsequent verse. So let's go to the next verse and see what is this anartha. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, verse 6. Anartho pashamam sakshat.
Anartho pashamam
sakshat.
Bhakti yogam adokshache.
Bhakti
yogam adokshache.
Lokasya jhanatho vidvams.
Lokasya jhanatho
Vidvams.
Sakre satvata samhitam.
Sakre
Sakre
sattva
sattva samhitam.
Anartho pashamam sakshat.
Anartho pasanam sakshat.
Bhakti yogam adokshache.
Bhakti yogam adokshache.
Lokasya jhanatho vidvams.
Lokasya jhanato vidvams.
Sakre satvata samhitam.
Sakre satvata samhitam.
Anartho pashamam sakshat.
Anartho pasanam sakshat.
Bhakti yogam adokshache.
Bhakti yogam adokshache.
Lokasya jhanatho vidvams.
Lokasya jhanato vidvams.
Sakre satvata samhitam.
Chakre satvata samhitam.
Synonyms. Anartha, things which are superfluous.
Anartha, things which are superfluous.
Upashamam, mitigation.
Upashamam, mitigation.
Sakshat, directly.
Sakshat,
Directly.
Bhakti yogam, the linking process of devotional service.
Bhakti
Bhakti yogam, the linking process of devotional service.
Adokshache, unto the transcendence.
Adokshache, unto the
transcendence.
Lokasya, of the general mass of men.
Lokasya, of the general mass of men.
Ajhanatha, those who are unaware of.
Ajanata, those who are unaware of.
Vidwan, the supremely learned.
Vidwan, the
Vidwan,
supremely learned.
supremely learned.
Chakre, compiled.
Chakre, compiled.
Chakre, compiled.
Satvata, in relation with the supreme truth.
Satvata,
In
in relation with the supreme truth.
Samhitam, Vedic literature.
Samhitam, Vedic literature.
Translation, please repeat after me. The material miseries of the living entity,
The material
The
miseries
material
of
miseries
the
of the living
entity,
entity,
which are superfluous to him,
which
which
are
are
superfluous
superfluous
to
to
him,
him,
can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service.
can be
can
directly
be directly
mitigated by the
mitigated by the
linking process of
linking process
devotional
of devotional
service.
service.
But the mass of people do not know this.
But the mass of people do not know
But the
this,
mass of people do not know this.
And therefore, the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature.
and therefore the
And
learned
therefore the
Vyasadeva
learned
compiled this
Vyasadeva
Vedic
compiled
literature,
this Vedic literature,
Which is in relation to the supreme truth.
which is in relation to
which
the
is
supreme
in
truth.
relation to the supreme truth.
Purport.
Srila Vyasadeva saw the all-perfect personality of Godhead. This statement suggests that the complete unit of the personality of Godhead includes his parts and parcels also. He saw therefore his different energies, namely the internal energy, the marginal energy, and the external energy. He also saw his different plenary portions and parts of the plenary portions, namely his different incarnations also, and he specifically observed the unwanted miseries of the conditioned souls who are bewildered by the external energy. And at last, he saw the remedial measure for the conditioned souls, namely the process of devotional service. It is a great transcendental science and begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. But even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for development of transcendental knowledge. Rather, knowledge is dependent on devotional service for the ultimate realization of the supreme truth.
Hari Om Tat Sat. So here is the remedy given very beautifully. This Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see, so Satvata Samhitam, spiritual knowledge. This Srimad Bhagavatam is spiritual knowledge or Satvata Samhitam. It has nothing to do with anything material. Absolutely nothing. Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. Amala means material. Amala means transcendental. So there is nothing material the Srimad Bhagavatam has to do with. Simply spiritual knowledge only. So Vidwan means the most learned Vyasadeva, not ordinary. We saw earlier also about how he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, that in its maturity. What is that? Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite. Mahamuni. Muni means thoughtful philosopher. And is Mahamuni, supremely learned person. Greater than any thoughtful philosopher is Vyasadeva. So that is why we call him Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa means he compiled all this Vedic literature. And at last, Satvata Samhitam. So he summarized the whole Vedic knowledge into Vedanta Sutra. And then Srimad Bhagavatam, in which the first verse, Janmadasya yataha atato Brahma Jignasa. It is that. So, it has got a very deep meaning. That is Vedanta Sutra. Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. We have already seen. So, and it is commented by the same author himself, Vedavyas, under the bona fide spiritual master Narad Muni, his guru. Therefore, we began this, that according to the advice of Narad Muni, that you write about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we began. So in the last week, in the last session, we saw Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Amale. So the Bhakti Yoga is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti Yoga. But about Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Hatha Yoga, everything is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But at last, Krishna is advising the most confidential part of the knowledge that I am speaking to you, Arjuna, is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. That is real religion. Because Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. The real religion is to simply surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is Dharma. So Dharma means occupying the senses. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. Bhakti Yoga is the real occupation of the original existence of the soul. Bhakti Yoga is the original occupation. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. So Bhakti Yoga is the only thing to surrender unto the Supreme Lord. That is called Bhakti Yoga. And the same secret was revealed in Bhagavad Gita finally, ultimately. And Srimad Bhagavatam also tells the same thing. Without any contamination. Without any, in the previous words we saw. Pranite Amale. So that means Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranite Amale. So Vyasadeva was able to meditate upon the devotional service unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted, unchecked. That is the ultimate. So Amale, that is no tinge of material in that. Because only with Bhakti Yoga you can cleanse your mind, which is thinking about ourselves as the product of matter. And without any contamination immediately. If you want to be liberated from the contamination of material existence or material modes of nature, which is entangling us like anything, then immediately you take to Bhakti Yoga. So simple. So simple. In Bhagavad Gita, it is already confirmed. Mam chayo vichare bhakti yogena sevate. So you want to realize yourself as Brahman. We are Brahman, we are not this body. There is no doubt about it. Whether you realize or not, you are Brahman only. But because sammohito, yaya sammohito jiva, because of that, Maya has captured us. Immediately you want to be liberated. Mukti means muktir hitvan yatha rupam. We have earlier seen. Swarupa. Our Swarupa is what? Jivera Swarupohaya Nityera Krishna Das. So actual business is spiritual activity, not this material activity. Engage your senses not in the sensory object, but in the satisfying the senses of Krishna. That is our sensory object. For all the senses, Krishna is the only sensory object. Krishna is the only sensory object because he is a supreme enjoyer. So material activity means this body. I am this body. I am the product of matter. So I have to keep this body in a comfortable position. And this body is changing. Today I am Indian. I am very great Indian. Tomorrow I may be an American dog. Who knows? In the next birth. I may not be an Indian. I may be Chinese. I may be European. In that country also, I may be a dog or cat. Who knows? My whole business program that I spent in my life thinking I'm Indian and performed a lot of activities are all in vain. Wasted. Again, another nationality, another feeling. I become cats and dogs, then another mentality. This is going on. I am forgetting that my identification is spiritual. Aham Brahmasmi. And I am accepting all these unnecessary designations which are bodily meant. Anartha, that is called anartha. So anartho pasamam sakshat bhakti yogam adokshaje. The only way to remove this anartha, which will keep you, by removing the anartha, will keep you in the original position of spiritual identity, then you have to take to bhakti yoga. Anartho pashamam sakshat bhakti yoga adokshaje. This is the remedy. This is the remedy. This is the remedy. Simply by the linking process of devotional service. Yoga means linking process to Supreme, and devotional service means bhakti. So bhakti yoga is the only way. This is the conclusion of the Shastra, anartho pasamam sakshat. Directly, sakshat. Directly, you see. Sakshat means directly. So directly take to bhakti yoga, no indirectly. Directly take to bhakti yoga. So anartha means I am this body. I have to change this body after 100 years or 10 years or I don't know when. According to the size, the dogs and cats, they also change 10 years, maybe the cows 20 years and human being at most 100 years and the demigods many millions of years. But death is sure that you have to change that body. When Hiranyakashipu executed very severe austerity and Lord Brahma came to him. So what do you want? Why are you putting yourself into so much of struggle like this? Why you are torturing yourself? You are executing so severe austerities. What's your desire? I want to become immortal. So Brahma said, that's not possible, my boy. Nobody is immortal within this material world. I am not immortal. How can I give you the benediction of immortality? That is not possible, Brahma said. So nobody, including Brahma, everyone is under the laws of nature. The duration of time may be little more or less. An ant lives for a few hours. We live for 100 years. Demigod live for millions of years. What does it makes any difference? Birth, death, old age, disease is the only 4 things that is guaranteed. Anartho pasamam sakshat. So why we shall die? This question does not arise. If I am immortal, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. Upon giving up the body, you are not died upon dying of the body. Na jayate, na mriyate, vakadachin. Nitya shashvato aham purano. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. This is question does not strike us that if I am immortal, I have no birth, I have no death, na jayate, mriyate, vakadachin. At any time, I have no birth, no death. Not that sometimes I was dying. No, never. Nitya shashvato. I am Purano. Na hanyate hanyamane sarira. This is the position. Then why am I accepting this birth and death and old age and disease? This is my problem. So we don't think that neither we are educated how to stop it. But there is process. Tyaktva dharmam punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. When? Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattva. Tyaktva deham punarjanma. So when Bhakti Yoga, when you hear about Krishna, when you understand about Krishna's appearance and his transcendental activities, you will not accept any more birth, death, old age and disease. If you simply try to understand Krishna, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, and what you need to understand, his appearance and the activities are transcendental, they are not material. That's all. Is it very difficult? Very clearly written. In truth, in fact, what is the result? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. The cycle of birth and death comes to an abrupt end, termination. This is certain. But after giving up this body, no more material body, then what happens? He's finished? No, he's not finished. Mam eti. He comes to me, back home, back to garden, Krishna says. So when you go there, then you must possess the same body as Krishna has got. Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. If you want to enter into the sun planet is made of fiery elements. Everyone there, their body is made of fire. So you should have a fiery body. Here you have earthy body. So you are on the earth. The fish has a watery body. So it is on the water. So you have a fiery body, then you can enter into the sun. So you should have a transcendental body if you want to enter into the realm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the transformation of this body, the change of the body should be transformed once for all from material to spiritual. Then only it is possible. So there is spiritual body that we don't know. There is no education of that. We have got spiritual body. That spiritual body is covered by this material layer, just like your body is covered by shirt and coat. Vasamsi jirna niyata vihaya. Everything explained in Bhagavad Gita. We are simply giving up. One dress is now old and rotten. We throw it away and accept another dress. Similarly, this body, which is not workable, it is old enough, the physiological function is not going on nicely, then there is change of body, like change of dress. This body is the dress the soul is wearing. It will throw away this body and take another body. Arjuna was advised, why you are lamenting for your old grandfather? Better kill him. He will get a new body. He will get a new body. Of course, it was spoken jokingly because grandfather. So, but the fact is fact, that after the old body, the babyhood, childhood, boyhood, youthhood, old body, then after this, vasamsa jirnani yata vihaya. When we give up this body as dress, old and rotten, we got another. This is going on. This is called anartha, anarthopasamam sakshat. Bhakti yogam adokshache. Bhakti yogam adokshache. So, we need to understand that anartha means unwanted thing. Unnecessarily, we are undergoing this change of body. That is anartha. If you want to stop it, anarthopashamam sakshat, directly, sakshad, immediately. What is that? Bhakti yodam adokshaje. And Krishna confirms this statement in Bhagavad Gita also. That mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena yasevite. So bhakti yogam adokshaje. This is real purpose of life. This is real purpose of life. And what is this bhakti yogam? What is this? It begins with the process of hearing and chanting the name, fame, glory, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What will it do? It will revive the dormant affection of love of God, which is not on the yantra rudani mayaya system of three modes of material nature and the body. It depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord, Guru Krishna Kripa Paye Bhakti Lata Bije. By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, the seed of devotion service is planted in the heart of the conditioned soul. So, then the Lord will award his loving transcendental service. Ahaituki apratihata. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yatho bhaktir adokshache. That is our original service. What is the dharma? Yato bhaktir adokshacha. So to that transcendental Lord, doing loving devotion service, ahaituki apratihata. Yayatma suprasidati. That is our constitutional position, to be suprasidati in the pure loving devotion service of Krishna. That is first class religion. It doesn't matter what kind of religion you are following. But if the religious system teaches you how to become a devotee of adokshaja, bhakti yogam adokshade, anarthopashamam sakshat, bhakti yogam adokshaje. Savai pumsam paro dharmo, yato bhaktir adokshaje. So, once you become the devotee of adokshaja, adokshaja means beyond sense perfection. When you are coming to the platform that I am not this product, My senses are part and parcel of the senses of Krishna. It is supposed to serve Krishna's senses. Hrishikesha Hrishikena Shevanam. So that is Adokshaja. Then you can perceive Krishna through the senses, transcendental senses. There you are developing your material body into spiritual body. It is transforming into spiritual body through the devotion service only, and there is no other means. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adoktuke. And how, what kind of bhakti to the adokshaja? Ahaituki apratihata. Just like in the previous world we saw. Amale, pranihite amale, without any tinge of material, pure loving devotional service, without interruption, without checking, without any disturbance, without any reservation, without any demands, out of love. So then you will be satisfied. That is our original, original position. It is not depending on knowledge. In fact, knowledge is depending on devotional service. See, knowledge is depending on devotional service, not that devotional service is depending on knowledge. Oh, I need to know in order to perform devotion. No, you don't need to know anything. We are already fools. We have forgotten all that we know. And we are trying to know what is called avidya. What you want to know, what knowledge you can possess. But the Lord is so merciful, and his pure devotees are, that without having any knowledge, they give you the directly sakshat, anartho pasamam sakshat bhakti yoga madhokshaji. Directly they are giving you the devotion service. You don't need to possess any knowledge at all. Just take to the chanting of holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then hear about Krishna's pastime. This is called Yato Bhakti Adokshaji. So we need to understand that knowledge is depending on the bhakti, and bhakti is not depending on the knowledge for the ultimate realization of the supreme truth, to become, constitutional position out of love for Krishna. We want to perform devotional service. Thank you very much. So any questions or comments or realization, please share with us. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you very much. So we'll get together again tomorrow 5 o'clock sharp with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord congregationally, and followed by Srimad Bhagavatam class at 7. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Patita Pavan Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu.
कृपा सिंधु